I think stories are, we're driving force in our society, and also in the world of fashion and in the world of luxury. 100% is the concept of luxury has evolved throughout the years.
I like craftsmanship. I mean, if you look at details, you can see if something is really thought through, or maybe it is not.
Hello everybody, thank you for being here this evening for this third and final installment of the talks with Genesis. I think you all agree this is an incredible space down here and all the cars upstairs. Peter, I think you had an eye on the concert car by the front door. Indeed.
I like it a lot. I'm an architect and I saw all the details and I fell in love immediately. Yeah.
But I think, there's so many crossovers between Genesis and Monocle being here this evening, just that attention to detail, the design. We both make beautiful things, I think, and so it's just great to be here. We're going to analyze luxury this evening, and I've got some great guests with me. Sagra de Rosen, who is an investor advisor on luxury and also a regular on Monocle 24 radio station. And we also have Peter Hornung, who is the founder of Round Rivers, which is a clothing brand based here in Zurich, and he'll be telling us a little bit more about the story behind that brand as the evening progresses. I think I'll start with you though, Sagra. I mean, it's been a difficult 18 months, I think everyone will agree. Looking at the world of luxury, how important has leadership been during this whole period?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's great to be in Zurich again and with you. And the situation that we've just lived through the last 18 months, a couple of years, and huge amounts of uncertainty, confusion, and that situation or that kind of backdrop really makes leadership shine. Because when everything is going well and when things are going from strength to strength as they had been previously to this coronavirus event, pandemic, you could kind of almost hide away. Now, at this moment in time, that is what leadership shines through. Now, it manifests in different ways, in my view. For some people, leadership showed by remaining really true to your values, to your strategy, and for other people, for other companies and brands, or even countries, I would dare to say, meant that they had to pivot and they had to change things very dramatically. So that leadership is not the same for everyone, but I think the companies that were able to either stay the course, they had the means or the vision to do that, or change very rapidly in the way they were doing things, or what things they were doing, were the ones that didn't go away. I mean, I think there was a big, cleansing in the world, in the corporate world, surely. But I think that those companies and brands that survive are thriving, and many companies have done incredibly well throughout the pandemic, and some of them having started,
And you just thought you'd set up a company at the start of the pandemic, but obviously you didn't know what was going to happen. But, a tough time. How's that been going for you, Peter?
Well, I don't have any other experience. So I just launched during the pandemic. And of course, we had some plans like making a great lounge event and so on. But it was not possible. And I had great doubts how the launch would be like in a digital way. And it turned out to be honestly the perfect moment of having this launch during the pandemic, because we had a great image in mind with our storytelling and with the images that we did. So it was quite strong, and we were really lucky that so many people spend so much time on Instagram and social media and so on. So the images, took their round. So it was quite the opposite of what we've expected. It was shared and liked many times. So yeah, that was quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about leadership, but also, part of leadership is this idea of, having a vision. And I think when you have that vision, you also need to be audacious. You have to be bold. You have to see it through. And I know, Peter, you were talking a little bit about how, when you had these difficulties of setting up this whole production in and around Zurich, you persevered. So maybe you can just tell the audience here a little bit about the story of the brand and sort of some of the challenges you encountered and how you overcame it.
All right, I do an elevator pitch, but a very long house, okay? We turn river plastics from the lake and from the river here in Zurich into sustainable clothing. So we make it very local. And when I used to be an architect, and when I gave the key to my client, I said I have to do something different because it was so annoying. And then I jumped into the river. I saw a couple of PET bottles, and the idea was born, taking these PET bottles out of the water, turning it into swimwear to bring it back into the water again. So that's why it's also called Round Rivers. And that was the vision all about. And I really had to concentrate on this vision many times again, because it was so hard that on some days I really said, okay, I give up. I give up. The Swiss textile organization were right. So it's impossible. And then I remember one moment that was quite interesting. I said to my girlfriend, okay, this is the last call I'm going to do. And it turned out that the last call was really solving the,
solving the puzzle.
Yeah.
So always make that last call. Just keep going. Perseverance seems to be the goal there. But it's an amazing story. You have this story you can tell about the 140 kilometers, etc. Maybe I'll come to you, Sagra. I mean, how important in luxury is this idea of telling a story? Because it's more than just a story. I guess it's a humanizing element. It's a way of connecting with people as well.
Oh, I think stories are, we're driving force in our society, and also in the world of fashion and in the world of luxury. And I would like to add to that, I always think about what I call the 3 C's of this moment in time in the luxury space, which I always forget one of them. So let's just hope that I don't.
Where's your cheat?
But they're all very connected to humanity. So the first one is community, right? And then how brands are no longer speaking to demographics, right? But they're speaking more to kind of communities of people and of values, right? The second one is collaboration, which has more to do with how brands work together. And it's not about Genesis and Monocle working together to create an event, which is a collaboration, but it goes across the value chain. There is a much more collaborative approach across the steps of the value chain of luxury, from design to the end customer. And on that basis, the third C is customization or personalization, which is again, focusing on that individual and working with the customer to create something special and something unique. So I think that's that human aspect of luxury, now that we are in such a kind of technologically driven world, is still super relevant and very important.
We were talking about this idea of telling a story, and Genesis, for example, has a very Korean identity, and I just wondered how Round Rivers plays into that, in the sense that is Round Rivers a brand that says we are Swiss? How do you sort of, because the Swiss brand has a lot of prestige and excellence associated with it. So do you play on that idea? Are you a very Swiss brand?
Well, I take care of of this aspect of concentrating, of making something perfect, let's say, but and of great value, of great quality. But I don't know. I don't see Round Rivers as a Swissness, point of view. So what we would like to do is we want to scale up Round Rivers and to take care of the waste that we find everywhere in the world. So, and therefore the Swissness factor is out then. So, for example, now we clean, of course, the river in Switzerland, but now we want to expand and clean the river in Paris.
I feel like we should almost rewind a little bit, because we've been mentioning the word luxury a lot, and I feel like I should sort of get your definitions on it.
Oh my God.
But I also feel, maybe the last year and a half has maybe changed the way we look at luxury, because we also have been enjoying our creature comforts as well. So I just really, maybe I'll go to you, Sagra. Do you think, luxury is something that's changing? Is it a constantly evolving thing? And do you think the last sort of year and a half has changed how we look at it?
I mean, 100% is the concept of luxury has evolved throughout the years, and that change has accelerated. Maybe more than change, what it has is widened as opposed to change. Because there are some things that are still important to luxury, which are, heritage, which is exclusivity. Price as well. Those were kind of qualifiers of luxury from ever. Right now, and we've seen an evolution towards more of culture as a real influence in luxury, like shall we say cultural relevance, right? Or we see it in the relationship with art, in a street, the street culture that has kind of infiltrated a lot of luxury, as we know, over the last, I will say, 5 years, but even more, especially in the last couple of years, right? And even well-being is important in luxury and how it's manifesting. I think that now we're in a period of time where we talked a lot about values, right? And the values and purpose and provenance versus heritage are words that are kind of resonating more and more and more in the luxury space. I think that you see that kind of widening of the luxury concept in this incredible proliferation of brands. There is a little bit of a luxurization of everything. A pencil can be luxury. An experience can be luxury. While in the past it was very constrained to, to objects or kind of more utilitarian objects that you will use, whether that was like handbags or a car or jewelry, right? So I think that now you can have like luxury coffee, almost, or qualified as that, right? So that's the change that I'm seeing.
I think what I want to point out as well is the experience that I made is that I've been in a quite luxury position, because customers, they appreciate this idea of, for example, now Round Rivers or other brands, that we are in this luxury position to be able to get the support from customers. And I think this is something of great value that is not to be underestimated.
And is it also, and we talked about this a little bit earlier when we met, is luxury the ability or the possibility also, in your, with your brand, this ability to sort of know the story, to know exactly where it's sourced from, this ability to sort of know the whole story, know everything about the production, for example?
Yeah, this is definitely the case, and this makes the product at the end also price-wise a luxury product. But this is we are just able to do this because we get this luxury from the customer, and I think this is relevant. I mean, without that, it wouldn't be possible, and without this support, it wouldn't be possible to develop it and to tell the story. And I think the story behind it is quite strong. People like this, and this value, I think, is great. Yeah.
I mean, you've said before that you'd like to bring the price down at some point. Obviously, it relies on people paying a certain price, and I guess, like you said, sort of support from those customers. How do you build that support? Is it like you say? Is it those values, or is it something else?
I think this is a very interesting question, because I think nowadays we've talked about Insta fashion, right? So Insta fashion is you see something, you like something, you buy something.
We coined the phrase today, I believe.
You consume something, and then, but as it says, then there's the next one with the next brand with a strong image and strong, products and so on. So and I think this changes then quite fast, and I think the innovation aspect is super important. So when you have strong images and strong products, that's good. But what keeps the product or the company in mind is the story behind it. And if you have this story, people talk about it. I mean, it was so. I mean, I was so overworked, and it was so nice that after I launched, seeing the people speak about it, this idea, because everybody understood it immediately. So this is something from the water for the water. It was quite clear, and everybody. Well, not everybody, of course, but so many people liked the idea, and they liked telling the idea, and this value, this is amazing for us, and I think this is relevant for our brand, that people talk about it, and when they talk about it, they maybe have a look in half a year again and check it out. What was the next thing that Round Rivers does, or any other brand? I think this is something very important, the innovation aspect.
But I think, if I can I think, of course, innovation is core, not just to fashion, to every company and every institution in the world. But what I think is truly important as well to support that storytelling and that USP is design and craft. Those are two very important words that are part of luxury, in this broad definition of luxury that we are talking about, and design is a well-designed product, a beautiful product, and a well-made product. This is something that sometimes is once you get through the stories as well, that's what you end up with. And I think that this is still incredibly relevant today. Both are very kind of human attributes of products and experiences, both of them, because these experiences can also be designed and crafted. So I think that those are two very important words, and actually even on the design and the beauty, talking about when I first came across Genesis, that was like one of the first things that struck me. It's like, oh my God, these are beautiful cars, and I have never heard of the brand before, but that was like the first thing. It was like the design and the attention to detail and the beauty of the object that kind of drew me in before even knowing anything about the story of the brand or where it came from or anything else. So that was for me a truly important, and I think for a lot of people, you're drawn by that beauty or design component. So.
I totally agree. Honestly, I also didn't know this brand before. So but I passed by a couple of weeks or even month ago, and I saw these cars in the window, and it immediately took my attention. And it sounds like I want to advertise this now, but it's not the case. But I like, as you said, the craftsmanship. I mean, if you look at details, you can see if something is really thought through, or maybe it is not. And in this case, it really immediately got my attention. Also, the whole space and how the light is, the details, the materials, and I think this is relevant. Yeah, totally.
Let's pick up on that idea of craft with you, Peter, because obviously, we've talked about your story and how you're taking these plastic bottles from the river here in Zurich and turning it into swimming trunks, or you're doing jackets now. But how do you also inject that element of craft? I know you did a collaboration with an artist here in Zurich, but tell us a little bit about how you also, as well as telling that utilitarian story or that story about the water bottles, you also...
I think what I like is always this local aspect. I'm really driven by that. So that means I also wanted to collaborate with a Swiss fashion designer, and then I came up with Julian Ziegeli, and Julian Ziegeli really liked the idea. So and then we made up a collaboration for the men's swim shorts, and there's a next one for the next summer. There's another studio involved, and I think this is also relevant, speaking about trends and stuff. So, because nowadays we are so caught, by these images going around the world, and then everybody becomes more like one, and this I don't like so much. So I like the craftsmanship that you have in different areas in the world. And I think this is something we have to work out, because this is unique. I want to go to a city because it's famous for its architecture, or for the Eiffel Tower, or whatever. I want to see that. I want to go there. I want to experience that. So I think we have to concentrate a lot on finding these unique values of cities, or fashion design, or the history behind it. I think this is something at least that drives me, and I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, it's all back to that idea again of the story. I mean, we talked about leadership, we talked about vision, we talked about story, but also we mustn't forget, Sagra, in the luxury sector or elsewhere, there also needs to be a customer experience. How important is that?
I mean, I will say it is the most important thing. Because I guess that there is this talk that is like, it's not about the words you say, it's how they make you feel, and that you never forget. And I think that has a lot to do with that customer experience, which I think is in fact really difficult to provide, a distinct and memorable customer experience, and it's even more difficult to scale. So I think that's why we don't have so many memorable experiences. And when you have one, it really gives you like such a sense of connection to a brand or to a company.